Okay, we are now
All right,
live.
we are live.
We are live. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the fourth episode, number 4. And we are talking about Scream 4 today. Now, this movie kind of was like, it was a horror slash, it had me laughing on some parts, especially on the rewatch, especially during the opening scene. So, yeah, first initial thoughts when you first saw Scream 4.
I was just excited there was a Scream 4. I love Scream. So the fact that we got a new one, I was just excited about that.
Yeah. Now,
Um,
did this film feel like it was like a reboot to the Scream franchise? Because I mean, they still had the same characters, but it had just been 11 years since the last movie. So, like,
no, see, I didn't feel like it was a reboot like Scream 5. I really do feel like it was a continuation
hmm
only because of how they handled Sydney, Dewey, and Gale. Like there was no we're trying to recreate. Like they really made it seem like it was just another part of the story that they, just decided to add on.
yeah,
It's kind of one of those, well, what are they up to type of movies.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And I like that. And I too, and a lot of people hate the opening of Scream 4. I thought it was funny.
It was. It was. Because I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? And it's like, okay, stab 6.
Because I love the Stab universe. So I thought it was funny.
hmm
And my favorite is the second part when they do Stab 7 because they're sitting on the couch and the girl's talking shit about how bad like horror movies are.
Yes, yes.
You
That was
got
a big, like,
Anna Paquin from True Blood, and you got what is her Kristen? I always forget her last name. I just know she's Veronica Mars,
okay.
and she's married to Dax Shepard.
Yeah.
That's what I always know her as.
Yep.
So, and they're sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, who likes this? So stupid," and blah blah, and she just like stabs her in the stomach, and I'm just like, "That's the stab movie I want to see because I want it what if." The girl stabbed in the stomach, but like she's Ghostface. Like I would like to see a Ghostface POV movie.
Right, right. Yeah. That would be dope. That would be dope.
But I just love it because, like, everybody always talks shit about Scream and the sequels. So to have somebody stab somebody who's talking shit about the subsequent Scream sequels, it was hilarious to me. That's what you be wanting to do. Like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
actually, it's like shut up and just watch it. You
Right,
haven't even seen it yet. Just watch the movie, then hate it.
right. And honestly, by then, if we even got 7 stab movies, we already sort of know it's going to be ridiculous. Like
Absolutely.
it's going to be
So
ridiculous.
when we get to like our actual like real opening and we meet what is Jenny and Marnie,
hmm
and they're talking about the stab movies, and she starts talking about like, oh well, they stopped making the ones about Sydney after Stab 3 because she sued them, and then they started making stuff up, and that's how they got in space. And I was just like, oh, that is hilarious, like because everybody goes to space.
Everybody goes to space. Like the Leprechaun done went to space. Jason done went to space. Like
One of the Hellraisers ended in space.
it did. It did. Like I'm just waiting on Chucky to take his ass to space, but he's different. He's different.
I would watch Chucky in space.
I would too. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm nosy, so I have to see how this is gonna go. What
Yeah,
happened?
if it's like OG Brad Dorf, I'd watch Chucky do anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, so we get introduced to Marnie and Jenny, and they're talking about the stab movies. And what is it? Marnie, I want to say, or is it Jenny? It's one of them. I always forget which one is, but they both look alike to me.
They did. They looked exactly alike.
One of them goes upstairs, and she's like, "Oh, my window must have been left open." And the girl downstairs gets the phone call from Ghostface, and it's the girl upstairs playing a trick on her. And you look and you see her window really is open,
hmm
which I thought was like super interesting. So, she comes downstairs. She's like, "Oh, everybody falls for that trick every year. It's the yearly anniversary of the first Woodsboro murder spree."
Yep.
So she's like, everybody falls for that every year. And she walks downstairs and the phone is, she hears the girl get like cut on the phone
Yes. Yes.
and she thinks she's joking and she sees the phone just sitting there. She's like, oh, ha ha, very funny. Phone just sitting on the floor. But she's like nowhere to be found. And then her phone rings and it's Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
And she's asking about where she is. And, he says that line from the Stab movies, I'm the last person you're going to talk to alive or see alive.
Of course.
And I love this particular opening scene because it pays homage to like the first one without being like super in your face about it, because you get the girl, she gets thrown through the glass door,
Yes.
right? Like
Yep.
they threw the chair through Casey Becker's door. But this time Ghostface actually just shows up like, yo, I'm here. You better start. And he tells her, you better start running.
Right.
So she takes off running. And I love she goes upstairs, she tries to hide, and I guess there's a back stairway down to her garage because Ghostface pops up and stabs her through this door she hides behind. And he throws her down the stairs and she's crawling. She tries to open the garage door and she's crawling away. And like, oh great, another garage door scene.
Yep.
I love that. And she just gets pulled back into the garage and he just stabs her up.
Ugh. And here we are.
Here we are.
Slide
And
door.
we get our key players. So we see a nice like shot of Woodsboro and we see all the ghost face on top of the poles that somebody put up, of course. And Sydney is back in town promoting her new book, Out of Darkness,
Yep.
because she decided to take all of the things that she had been through. And in the past 11 years, she wrote a book and she's coming back to Woodsboro to do a reading, in a press conference and a meet and greet. We meet her and we meet Rebecca, her publicist, which is like Gail on steroids with her
Yes.
mean ass.
Yes. She was.
And then we get a cut to seeing Dewey get out of bed and Gail's in bed next to him.
Mhm.
I like to call him Gooey, but
Yes.
Gooey, Gooey or Dale,
Right.
but Dale. But we seeing Dewey like suiting up. He is now the motherfucking sheriff after all this time.
Yep.
Dewey is running things,
Yep.
right? And he gets into like going downtown and they're like trying to clean up the ghost face off the poles. And while he's about to get in his car, we see this car just fly by and it's Kirby Reed.
Yes.
Oh, it's just a Kirby Reed. And I love how they do it like OG, like Halloween style with like the girls in the car on the way to school. So Kirby is like flying past and he's like 25 to stay alive.
Right. Like he's so old at this point. It's like,
So
okay.
old. And it's Hayden Panettiere and she picks up Jill Roberts, played by Emma Roberts.
Yep.
And they pick up their friend Olivia and they're driving to school and they're talking about Jill's ex-boyfriend Trevor. So Trevor is blowing up Kirby's phone, he's blowing up Jill's phone, he's blowing up Olivia's phone because this is her ex. He wants to get back together.
Right.
She's not hearing it. And they start talking about Sydney being back in town. Olivia calls her the angel of death because every
Yes.
time she comes around, people die.
Yes. And I mean facts. Like legit
Like
facts.
she ain't wrong.
She's not wrong.
Not wrong. So, Jill's like really not pressed about it. She's like, oh, she's my cousin, whatever. And then she gets a phone call and it's Ghostface or
Mm-hmm.
allegedly Ghostface. She thinks it's Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And, after chatting for a bit, she doesn't like where it's going. And they hang up the phone and they continue on to school. So then we cut to Dewey and in walks this bitch. You talking about somebody I hate. I fucking hate Deputy Judy. I hate her guts.
Mm.
Ain't nothing worse than the work wife trying to steal your man
Listen, she
and didn't care.
did not care. I
Did
mean,
not care.
every chance she tried in that movie, she tried Gail. So many.
Okay, so they're taking down the decorations and everything, and she's like, "Oh well, I baked you some lemon squares," and he's like, "No, I shouldn't." And this is when I was like, "Oh, this bitch got to go," because she said, "Just because you eat my lemon squares doesn't mean you're cheating on your wife." Bitch,
That's not
wait,
even
why did you even throw that in there?
right. You saying it because you know what you're trying to do, bitch. You know what you're trying to do.
But
I
I
was
love Dewey
glad
because I love Dewey because he was like, no, but I would be cheating on my diet. And I'm like, that's great.
there you go. That's a good man. That is a good man right there.
He can't fucking stand Gail, but he gonna be faithful.
Exactly.
And they get the call about Jenny and Martin's bodies being found in the house. So they speed off to the crime scene. And then we go back to the school and we get introduced to Robbie Mercer and Charlie Walker,
Yep.
who are two guys who run the Woodsboro Film Club. Robbie always has the headset. And this is 2011 when everything was really being filmed, like social media was
Yes.
really blowing up.
Yes.
So, he has this web page called, was it Woodsboro Hall Pass, something like that, where he films everything around the school.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's asking everybody what's their favorite scary movie in honor of the massacre, and nobody answers him but Kirby. And he's like, so Kirby, what's your favorite scary movie? And she's like, Bambi, and then just walks.
I laughed so hard at that point. Like this
Because
movie,
it's so true.
like it really was like a comedy. It was a lot of. I felt like I didn't know what satire was back in that day, but I was like,
Yeah.
this is funny, but should I be laughing right now? So it was good. Like that kept me engaged in this movie. Like I never, even though I had issues just with how the plot turned out, I definitely can say that this movie, it definitely was a good breath of fresh air into the who done it.
It brought back that like
Mm-hmm.
goofy dark humor from the first one. I can say that this movie nailed the humor of the first one better than any of the other sequels.
Yep, I agree.
So, and I love the fact that like Charlie's like, you can tell he's into her,
Yep.
and she kind of flirts back, and Jill's like, you could do worse. And she's like, oh, I like Charlie. I like to torture him and tease him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you could do worse, girl. Like, come on, stop playing.
Right.
So then in walks Trevor, so the ex-boyfriend, and Jill just gives him his walking papers yet again. And she's like, look, he's like, I should have never let you go. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you didn't just let me go. You went and found somebody else, then let me go.
Mm-hmm.
Then tried, like, she's like, you ain't about to spin the block on me. You
Basically.
can keep it moving.
Yep.
And Robbie's right there, and he's like, Trevor getting denied.
Typical high school shit. It's like, but
Right?
even though all this time has passed, high school is still the same. You
It's
know,
always high school.
always gonna be
But
high
I,
school
I
drama.
love when Robbie's like, so Trevor, what's your favorite scary movie? And he's like, oh, I'll show you. And he's like, rah! And he just runs to the camera, and
Right.
Robbie like runs off. But they get into like class and whatever they're studying or whatever, and phone starts going off,
Yeah.
and they get the info that the two girls got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, knowing who the killers are, when you pay attention to this scene, you
Yep.
can see who has a reaction and who doesn't. So I thought that was kind of interesting on this time around.
Good.
There's like one person who just really don't give a shit,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, you find out why. I mean, I can't really blame her, but that whole thing goes down, and Sydney is reading a passage from her book. And it's funny because Gail is watching her on TV earlier, and she's trying to write her next book, and you can feel that little, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say like jealousy per se, but like, shit, I need to write a book because
That could have been
she's
me.
picking up steam.
Yep.
Yeah, like she's picking up steam. I need to write my next book.
Yep. I definitely felt
Like,
like
I felt
she was looking at her like, damn, that could have been me. That should have been me. Maybe I need to like go try to write a book. And
and
she
she's stuck
tried.
on page 1,
She
chapter
tried.
1, and she can't do it.
Yep.
So when she goes to meet with Sydney at her book signing, like, I felt like she really was happy for Sydney. It was just more like, well, shit, she's taking over my lane. Now what do I do? Because I haven't written a book in 11 years.
Yep.
And Dewey and Judy and the other two deputies, which is what is it? Andrew Brody and Anthony Anderson are the other two cops, which I always thought was so funny. He's in this movie. And
How do you
they,
think he got that role though?
you know why? Urban Legends Final Cut. People
Okay.
keep forgetting that he was in other horror, like he was in another horror movie. He was in the sequel to Urban Legend.
Okay, don't shame me, but I do not remember seeing Urban Legends uncut.
It's okay. Urban Legends Final Cut isn't like the best sequel, but you know me, I like watching everything.
It's very forgettable. I'm trying to think if I saw it. I want to say I saw it, but I
Urban
don't
Legends
remember
Final
it.
Cut is when it was like the girl was trying to get the Alfred Hitchcock Film Award, and she made the film about urban legends based off of the college massacre rumor or whatever.
Yeah.
And Anthony Anderson played one of her special effects guys on the student film.
Damn, I'm drawing a blank, but now I want to see it though.
It's not horrible. It's just like a standard early 2000s sequel, if you know what I
Okay.
mean. It's
Okay.
not
Okay.
anything to write home about, but I mean, if you want to do a double feature, Urban Legends Final Cut,
I mean, hey, it's there.
it's not bad. It'll scratch the itch. Like,
Okay.
but they're there and they show up at the bookstore, and Dewey's like, yeah, Deputy Judy got the phone number from where these calls were placed. She traced it here. This
Mhm.
is now police investigation. So they lock the bookstore down. He makes the phone call. They hear the phone ringing outside. They go outside. It's in the trunk of a car. And Sydney's like, that's my rental car.
Oh yeah.
And she tosses him the keys and opens it. And it's a ghost face mask, a knife, and a poster of Sydney's book cover with blood all over it.
Mhm.
And she's freaked out. And of course, her little publicist is like, ooh, two butchered girls. Oh, this is going to be amazing. And it's like, if you don't you are not Gail.
Right. She was
And
annoying.
even like she meets Gail and she's like, oh my God, Gail Weathers, I've been studying you my whole life. And it's like, clearly, bitch, because
Yes. She clearly was like,
clearly. Um, so that whole thing goes down and they're at the I like when they cut to the police interrogation room where he's talking to Sydney.
yep.
Gail's like, all right, cool, I'm back in the game. And Judy's at the door.
She said no. Ooh, I was like,
And she was like, I need to be in there. And she's like, what are you going to do? Arrest me, Deputy Judy? And she was like, if I have to, because you're impeding on a police investigation as a civilian. And she's like, if you're going to pretend to be my husband, at least get a mustache. And I was like, you tell her.
tell her. I was waiting on her to slap her for real. I'm not even gonna lie.
I promise you, when Gail had the best lines in this movie, because when she said, you know what, I don't care that you flirt with my husband, and I don't even care if you bake him those little treats. I
Mhm.
was like, you better let her know. Like, I already know the game.
Yep. Tell her.
She's like, she's like, and when Dewey comes out to get her, and she was like, have you ever heard the phrase, I wrote the book on this? And I
Basically,
was like, get him,
checkmate.
get him. And then
Because
she was like,
she couldn't, like, you could
she couldn't,
tell
she couldn't.
Deputy could not wait to be like, I will arrest you if I have. Like, she couldn't wait to say that.
But when she got in that room and she was like, and by the way, your lemon squares taste like ass, and slammed the door.
Best one. She had the best lines, man. She had the
She
best
really did.
lines. the
She
one,
she
two, the one,
she
two.
really did.
She was good. She was quick.
But then we also get introduced to a very important character that I feel like I'm surprised we didn't meet earlier on, which is Sydney's aunt, Maureen's sister, which
Yes.
is Jill's mother. So her and Jill are like legitimate first cousins.
Right.
Jill was just like really young when all this went down, but they're like real first cousins. So we meet Maureen's sister, and Sydney's like, staying with them, catch up. She can't leave town
Right.
because now she's involved in a murder investigation again.
Yep. Because it sounds very coincidental that
Very
the
coincidental.
murders start right when Sydney is back in town. So
Yes.
it did. Like, this movie really did a good job of like having us think, because I was like, dude, we got to look at Sydney now.
Right.
Like,
And like for
never
me, I was like, I know Gail is not orchestrating murders just to have something to write about. That was my thought.
right.
But I love that we got a little bit more insight into Maureen the sister and not Maureen the whore.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, her aunt really painted a picture of how much she was missed and how much she loved her. And she's like, yeah, you know, she was the more outgoing one and she got all the attention,
Yep.
which is great foreshadowing, by the way.
Great.
But she's like, you know, she's always stood out, you know. And hearing Jill overhear this and kind of have that same look, like, yeah, I understand. You know, Jill's kind of like, I get that. Someone
Whatever,
always
right?
getting the attention,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And her and Kirby are chilling upstairs, and Olivia lives next door, and the cops are outside of the homes just to make sure everything's okay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
perimeter search or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sydney goes to talk to the girls, tell them good night, you know, big cousin shit.
Yeah.
And when she leaves and Deputy Judy comes out of the damn shadows, like, hi, Sydney, do you remember me? And Sydney's like, no, not really.
Not at all, bitch. What? Like, we don't know
And
you.
she's like, I know you didn't know me, but I always knew you. And it's like, you little weird
Mm-hmm.
fucking like the way she came out of the shadows was just great red herring, but
Yeah.
ooh, she still gives me the icks.
Yep.
So, you know, Deputy Judy's there doing her search, and Kirby and Jill are in her room. Olivia's in her room getting undressed. Sorry, y'all out.
I heard
I
that.
just heard, boy, look, okay, he is teething,
Mm. Oh yeah. So that's rough. That's a rough time.
and he's about to be 1 in 2 days, and like the sleep regressions and crankiness is real.
Oh yeah. He's going through a rough time in his life right now. So
He's he's going he's going through a rough
he's going
transition.
through a rough. He's going through some trials and tribulations.
Boy, look, okay.
Turning one
But
is not easy.
man, look, all that Sesame Street and diaper changes takes a lot out of you. Drinking milk and eating green beans, it does too much.
It's a hard knock life.
Right? But they're all talking, you know, Kirby and Jill are talking, and they end up prank calling Olivia. And Jill calls her on Kirby's phone. It's like, what's your favorite scary movie? And Olivia's like, get out that shit, whatever. And they're all laughing and giggling. But then a call comes in on Jill's phone,
Yeah.
and it's Ghostface. And Kirby don't take no shit.
Yeah.
Okay, she just lets him know, like, I'm not about to play these games. What do you want?
Right.
I ain't got time for this, pretty much. And he's like, well, maybe you need to check the closet.
Oh.
And she goes and opens the closet, and she's like, you're not in here, asshole. And he's like, well, I didn't say your closet. And the closet door bursts open in Olivia's room. She has no time to catch her breath. She has no time to even know what's happening to her. I mean, one of the most gruesome kills in the franchise, in my opinion.
One of my favorites too. I'm not even gonna lie.
The way he kicked her into that dresser,
Yeah.
like they put their whole hip into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just stabbed her up, just cut her, like cutting her chest and her stomach, and then just throws her out the window. And they're screaming in the window across the way, and they see her get thrown out the window, and he's just like shaking the knife.
So
Sydney
terrifying.
busts in.
Mm.
Sydney busts in. She sees what's happening. She runs next door. By the time she gets next door, he's gone. But you see the blood all over the walls. The girl
Everywhere.
is just laying there with her intestines hanging out. It is brutal.
It was. Whew. It was. It was. But I can't lie. It was one of my favorite kills in this movie. Even though this
Oh
movie had
yeah.
a lot of good kills. It had a lot of good
Yeah,
kills.
yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
They really did some good kills in this movie.
Yep.
So, you know, everybody's paranoid. They're like, yeah, we're locking it down. Kirby's like, all right, well, I'm about to head to this head out,
Yep.
because in between, you know, the daytime to nighttime transitions. Okay, let me back up a mo, because we missed a kill. Rebecca the publicist gets killed
Oh yes, I
before
forgot.
Olivia
And
gets
she
killed.
fired her, right? Because she was
At the hospital,
talking that shit
they fired
still.
him. Yeah, because she's like, no, we have to capitalize off of this, and we have to go to New York and blah, blah, blah. And Sydney's like, you're fired.
Fire, bitch.
And she goes to the parking garage, and, you know, of course, Ghostface is there. She tries to get in her car.
Yep.
Excuse me. He pops out. She tries to run to the door back into the building, but the handle's all fucked up, which is hilarious.
Right.
And just stabbed her in the gut. Like, and I think for me, Rebecca's kill is like a forgettable kill because what was the point of killing her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what makes it unforgettable is the fact that this motherfucker throws her off the roof.
What was the Ghostface thing with throwing people in this movie? Like niggas was getting thrown left and right, slinging niggas around.
I
Like,
mean, just tossed her ass off the roof and she hits the news van.
whew.
And Robbie and Charlie are there. Gail is there. Shit's crazy. And
Yep.
Gail's like, look, I want to team up with you two. You know the ins and outs of what this is all about.
Right.
I want to be down with y'all so we can figure this out. And they're like, are you going to bring Sydney to the film club?
That's all they care about. Like
They
this is
care about.
legendary for them. Like this is a big deal for them. Sydney is a big deal for Woodsboro.
Right.
You know, fuck
And for
Gail.
so, and she talks Sydney. She gets Sydney to come.
Yep.
And they're in the film club. Kirby's there, you know, Robbie, Charlie's there, Gail's there, just kind of soaking things up. And they go into detail about like a little bit on remakes,
Yeah.
but more so on like continuations of stories
Mm-hmm.
and how updated technology plays a big part. How this Ghostface is gonna live stream everything.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know how it's gonna pay homage to the original, but it's gonna twist some things, and the rules are gonna be a little bit different.
Yep.
And they're kind of soaking this all in. So that's, and you know, they talk about how they have a stabathon every year where they watch all 7 movies, but it's an undisclosed location that nobody knows about until the night of, yada yada, teenage party shit.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
That way the parents don't find out.
Exactly.
So
They
after Olivia gets killed, Kirby's like, yo, I'm going to the stabathon. I'm out, these. Ain't got this shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jill's mom is sitting like, you got to stay here. So she's in her room. Kirby goes to the stabathon. Now, at the same time, I think this is happening all in the same time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure or not. But Ghostface breaks into Jill's house. Sydney has a showdown with Ghostface. Jill gets cut in the arm. Which, why do they always get cut in the arm? But whatever. Sydney kicks the shit out of Ghostface, and Sydney and Ghostface are like running around the roof, which I think is like one of those other good shots.
That really was.
With them scaling around the side of the house.
Yes.
And there is a point where they don't know where Jill is. Jill decides she's leaving. She hits Kirby up, and she leaves her computer open.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, come get me. Kirby comes and gets her, you know, after she gets patched her from the hospital, whatever. And it's Sydney's aunt and Sydney are in the house, and they hear all this shit. Ghostface is still there, and they try to go out the door, but they see the reflection of Ghostface in the wind chimes. They run to the other door, and they brace themselves, and then Jill's mom gets stabbed in the back of the head through the mail slot.
Yeah. Ugh.
Which is really heartbreaking.
It was. Ugh. Like we just
She,
met this lady. Like,
yeah, and she was so sweet. Like she went and got groceries.
yeah.
She went and got groceries and everything. And it was weird because like she said, well, yeah, the police were there when I got in, but they're not there now. Well, Ghostface killed both of the police officers, which I love Anthony Anderson's kill in this movie, him getting stabbed in the forehead. I know logistically it doesn't make sense because you have to pierce the skull, but I love it.
Yeah.
That he's like still trying to fight with like blood streaming down his face.
Oh, it was hard to watch. It was because I wasn't expecting that. You know, it was like
it went in like it went in like butter. Like
it did. It really did.
It slid in there.
Oh, such a good kill. Such a good kill. That's the one that you're gonna remember. You know.
And I like the fact that this Ghostface like really enjoys his handiwork, because after like the kills, he kind of just sits there and like marvels. Like he stabbed this guy in the forehead. He gets out the car and he's just standing there like, wonder where this is gonna take me.
Right.
Until he just drops dead.
Mm.
So now Sydney is on her own. She realizes Jill is gone, and she's got to go get her.
Yep.
And at this point, like I said, I feel like it's simultaneous, and I only say feel like because there's arguments that say that that one Ghostface did all the killing and one didn't because they were playing the role.
Right.
I don't think so. I really do think that one Ghostface was there and the one was in the Stabathon, only because at the Stabathon you got Charlie, Robbie, Kirby, all the other kids, and Gail sneaks in trying to do her patented camera trick.
Exactly. Exactly.
And she puts her camera in the bale of hay, and the Ghostface is like behind her.
Yep.
So
Ooh.
she actually gets attacked at the Stabathon. It's in a barn, like way out the way too.
Yeah.
Um, and she gets stabbed in the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
And Dewey actually shows up and scares him away. So, Gail doesn't die. She gets stabbed in the shoulder. She gets taken to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like really the first time that Gail's been taken out for like a majority of an act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't see her till like the very end after that.
Right. 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 Right.
So Sydney is like, yo, I gotta go get go get Jill. So we get to Kirby's house. Kirby already drunk. They drinking
Yep.
tequila. They about to watch some horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
The crew done showed up. So Robbie and Charlie show up, and Robbie's freaking out. He's like, oh my God, the sheriff's wife got stabbed at our event. We're
Right.
going to jail.
Right.
My career is over before it started. We are in
Right.
so much trouble because they weren't supposed to have the Stabathon because
Exactly.
they were under curfew.
Yep.
And Trevor shows up. And everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, well, Jill texted me to come over. And Jill's like, I did not text you. And he's
Mm.
like, you text me from your phone. She's like, I don't even have my phone. I think I
Mm.
left my phone upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So Jill leaves. Kirby's like, I don't even know why you here. I don't fuck with you. You get the fuck out of my house.
Everybody's like, what are you doing here?
Right?
Like, you're
And
not
she's
wanted.
drunk. So she starts flirting with Charlie. And Robbie's like, I'm just going to go take a walk
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to see this shit. Because
Right.
low-key, Robbie had a thing for Kirby too.
Yeah.
Just not as big as Charlie.
Right.
And Robbie's outside and he's like, Charlie Walker is really about to get it on with Kirby Reed. Like he's still updating people on his
Updating,
little
like,
website.
still, but it's so in tune with the times because
Yeah,
that is blogging. That's
yeah,
really that was
that's
the
the
beginning
thing.
of it. Yep. Yep.
So, people start filtering in and out the room as one does in a Scream movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie gets it next.
Yep.
Trevor goes upstairs to find Jill, but you don't see him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie's outside and he gets attacked by Ghostface. And I hate they did this because they even say like one of the rules is like, you live if you're gay, which I'm like, who even thought of that? That's just so disrespectful.
Right.
But he's getting cut the fuck up and he's like live streaming this and he's just
Ugh.
like, does it help? He's like, does it help that I'm gay? And I love the Ghostface is just like, nigga, really? Like, I love the head tilt. Like,
Like, what?
did you really fucking try me? And he gets killed anyway. So Sydney shows up. Kirby's like, what the fuck? Jill comes downstairs like, what's wrong? And she's like, hey, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
It's about to get serious. And when they go out to the door and Robbie's like just out there, like just
Yep.
dead.
Dead.
And now it's on. Now we're in our final act of the story. So Sydney's trying to get Jill out of there. Kirby gets split up, of course, and she gets her phone call.
Yep.
And he's like, it's the Casey Becker setup,
Yeah.
but with a twist. And even in the beginning of being at Kirby's house, they said like, okay, well, the party is the false final act because this is supposed to be different from the original. So the final act is going to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we get that spin on Casey Becker where it's like, let's play a game. And you see Charlie duct taped to the chair outside.
Yeah.
Lights come on. It's
Yep.
deja vu. And they ask her about remakes. When I tell you, my girl nailed every remake that had been made by
Yep.
2011.
Yep.
And she said it so venomously.
Yep.
And then the line goes dead. And she's like, I won. I fucking won. And
Yep.
she runs outside. And she unties Charlie. She's like, I won. Do you hear that? I fucking won. And Charlie gets up and he stabs her in the stomach.
Woo. That was the twist I was not Expect
The horror nerd being the killer is a twist that you expect, but not in this franchise.
no, never. Like what? That's where I was like,
And
oh
it's
my gosh.
he does it in such a like
Yep,
disgusting, like toxic male incel kind of way where he's like, I've sat next to you for so long and you just now noticed me. And it's like, you could have got some.
mm-hmm.
You were about to GTD
Almost right.
and you fucked it up for everybody.
Like I was like, bruh, like, are you serious? Like what? So that
Like
was my
she was,
first what the fuck moment. That was the first
yeah,
one.
'cause she was digging him. She was a little tipsy. She was like, yeah, this may work. I might take Jill's advice. Like this may look, he looking kind of right. Because
Yep,
all it takes is that one moment for like he looking kind of right tonight,
that's it. That's all it takes.
and he done fucked it up for everybody.
Man, oh, I was not expecting.
So our girl Kirby is down.
Hmm.
And I mean, we now know that she didn't die, but at the time it was very up in the air of whether she was alive or not because you never got the confirmation.
Right, right.
So Sydney's stalking around the house. She can't find Jill. Charlie's on the loose. We don't know what's about to go down. So then Sydney gets attacked by Ghostface.
Hmm.
And she really gets like attacked. Like Sydney gets stabbed.
This was the first movie where I thought
She was gonna die.
I thought she was. I'm
Oh, I
like,
thought she was out of here.
I
I
was
thought
like,
she was out of here.
yeah, I was like, they really gonna kill Sydney like on this one? Ooh,
And we get the Ghostface reveal that it is Jill.
yes, that was the second what the fuck moment for me because I was like,
And not just that it's Jill, but Jill is the mastermind.
yes, and the whole reasoning behind it, like,
Yes, Jill was tired of being in the shadow of Sidney Prescott. It
yep,
is 2011, people. You think IG models was like popping now? No, back then everybody was trying to be down on the internet for real, for real. Jill
yep,
was like, no, bitch, I need to be famous. I'm young, I'm up and coming. I can be a way better victim than you can ever be.
yeah,
It's time for you to retire, and I'm gonna retire your ass permanently.
yep. That's where I was like, damn, she cold.
Because
Cold blooded.
when she said I had to do, she's like, it's I had to do it so well, even my own mother had to die
Mm,
for the cause.
yeah, she cold. She was cold for that. I was
And
like,
when you think about it, like I said, Charlie had to be the one that stabbed Gail because he was already there,
yep,
right? Which means Jill had to have killed her own mother.
right. Ugh, that is
You
sick.
talk about some cold shit.
That's sick, bro. That is sick. What? But in you know the reason why I was initially kind of mad about this movie because I was like, why? I was coming from the point of like, why would they have the killer be her cousin? And then more I start thinking about it, I was like, well, damn, what she said, even though it's fucked up as hell, it really could have happened. Like she really could be like, I'm tired of living in the shadows, and I'm gonna do this because this is all. This is I'm banking on this.
Let's
Like,
keep it real. Blood will take you down faster in this world than anything.
listen, and that's why I was like, you know what? I gotta really be realistic. Like,
Yes,
Trail always,
people get done in by their family members every day.
yep, yep,
So the fact that she's like, no, I'm taking your life.
yep.
So my mom had to die. My
Mm,
boyfriend has to get set up, and you have to die too. And poor Trevor. I mean, not poor Trevor, because I remember being a like high school girl and getting cheated on, and like I wanted to kill him too. So I
yeah,
get that.
yeah, yeah.
Those hormones.
I mean, hey, no complaints from me there.
Yeah, because he was a POS. And you find out the reason why she killed those girls in the beginning was because Marnie was the one he cheated on her with.
Yep. The girl was a
She
mastermind.
was good. This is the one that should have got away
Yes. Yes.
all day,
Yes.
all day. So, and I'll touch on that later.
Hmm.
So Sydney gets stabbed. The showdown is in the kitchen, just like in the Stumacher situation, right? Stumacher house.
Yep.
And her and Charlie start making out. Charlie brings Trevor out tied up, looking like Neil Prescott,
Oh,
right?
callbacks. It was
And
callbacks to the first one in this
but
movie.
it was done so well
So well, so well. Yep. It
that it
wasn't
didn't annoy me.
face, but for the people
Yeah.
who go in depth like us, it's like,
Yes.
oh my gosh. Yep.
Right. And they set him up with the voice changer. They set him up with the clone phone.
Yep.
And she shoots my man in the dick.
Whew.
She said, I am not the girl you cheat on.
Mm, rough.
Blew his balls in two.
Oh,
Okay. And her and Charlie start kissing because you find out that she's been throwing that thing on Charlie to get this mission accomplished.
Oh yeah.
Which also calls back to her telling Kirby, well, I mean, girl, you can do worse. Because, I mean, obviously she tested the product for her.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, this bitch is a mastermind. Cause all she had to do was throw him something, and he was like hook, line, and sinker. Yep, I'll do what
Yes.
you want. Yep.
Whatever you want. I'm
Yep.
finally not a virgin. I'll do
Yep.
whatever you want me
Oh
to.
yeah. Especially teenagers. Like, come on now. You want me to? Oh, I'll kill a little couple people for you. It's fine.
Right.
Well,
So they're Sydney's bleeding, and they're gonna do the whole stabby each other like Billy and Stu. Difference is Jill said, hold on, player. There's only one star. And she stabbed him in the heart, in the stomach. She was like, hold on, bitch. I'm Beyonce. This is a solo act now.
because we got to make it believable, right? We have to make it believable.
She said, look, Supremes, I'm Diana Ross. And stabbed him in the chest and in the stomach. And he's like in such disbelief as he's dying. It's like, bro. And Sydney literally was like, oh, you thought you were gonna live? She was like, Billy and Stu, her and you. Like with her last heaving breath, she's like, you motherfucker. You stupid as hell. That's what she wanted to be like.
She's seen all of this before. Like she's been here before.
She's like, so you didn't put this together? He goes down and Jill's like, hey, bitch, your time is up too. And she stabs her a couple times.
Whew. Man.
And when I tell you next level crazy, now this is why I say, like I said, Scream exists in its own universe.
Yeah.
But like Jill is like right below Debbie Salt with the level of craziness, because Jill not only orchestrates all this, got her arm cut by Charlie in the process. Jill then takes Trevor's hand, scratches her own face with his fingernails, and pulls out her own hair with his hand.
Yes.
Okay, you would think that'd be enough. Jill don't stop there. Jill takes the knife against the wall and runs it into her shoulder. Jill then bashes her own head against picture frames and glass. And then Jill does a WWE sumo backwards jump into a dining room table, buckles that shit. She caved that shit in with her little frail body. And then to put the cherry on top, she crawls next to Sydney and poses.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, like I could not.
Hold on, I gotta zoom out for this. She was like,
she did
right next to her.
Oh my gosh, she did. Oh my gosh, she really did. I was like, this bitch is posing. No,
and seemingly gets away with it because she's on the stretcher and all the cameras. Jill, how do you feel? And she's all, oh,
yep. Ooh,
they noticed me.
She was
loving it.
Eating it up. Ooh,
eating it up. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Dewey is going to check on Jill, of course, because he's like, another victim. Because Dewey's a good man.
He's a good man.
He's a good man. He's always trying to protect the ladies. So he goes and he checks on Jill. And he tells her, hey, no, she first says, well, I guess me and Gail have matching stab wounds now. Fuck up number one. Because how did you know?
Woo, bitch. What is
right?
You telling on yourself?
But Dewey don't be thinking. He just started laughing. He was like, yeah, I'll make sure I tell her that.
Yeah.
And he says, well, Sydney is still alive. They think she's going to make her recovery. and he walks away in her face.
Yep.
She's like, great, now I gotta kill the bitch in the hospital.
Yep. And this is when I'm like, when is this movie gonna end? Like I was
But
on
but
the
I love it because
yes.
Dewey goes and talks to Gail, and he tells her, oh yeah, she said you guys have matching stab wounds, and Gail's like, how did she know that?
Mm.
And Dewey's like, crap, and he just runs out the door.
Yep. Oh.
He just run, and that's why he needs Gail, because like she just puts it together. That's why I said Gail is the glue,
Yep.
because she got that mental.
Yep.
He runs out the door. He's getting Judy on the horn, and we see Sydney recovering, and Jill comes out the shadows, and she's like, why won't you just die? Who are you, Michael fucking Myers?
Ooh. That's another one I
And
was like,
yeah, and they like, they're about to fight, and she's like poking Sydney in her stab wounds.
yep.
Sydney is looking real bad. This is the weakest that Sydney has looked in any movie, is
Oh,
part 4.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think I like that symbolism of how family is so close to you that sometimes you're not strong enough
Yep. Yep.
to do what you got to do.
Yep.
And Jill is tossing her ass around that room like goddamn pinball, okay? Because she's young,
Yep. She got that strength.
and her injuries aren't as bad.
Right.
And Deputy Judy comes in, and she pulls that gun, and Dewey gets knocked out with a bedpan, of course, because
Right.
it's Dewey.
Because it's Dewey. He took the least amount of damage though.
He really did.
Because usually he got fucked up every
Yeah,
single movie. But this one he took the least amount of damage. Gail was the one.
yeah. So
Sydney was
yeah, he gets knocked out. She gets his gun. Her and Judy are having a standoff,
mm-hmm.
and she lights Judy's ass up with that gun.
Mm.
And Judy goes down, and then Gail makes her hobbling ass down there, trying to stop it. And Jill points the gun at her, and you think it's about to be over for Gail. And Gail's like, I just have one last thing to say. And she goes, what? And she says, clear. And Sydney has those fucking defibrillator pads and pulses that head.
Woo!
And she hits the floor.
Mm.
Right?
Yes.
And Sydney gets the gun, and she's like, you forgot the one rule. You never fuck with the original. And she lights that ass up.
Yeah.
So Dewey's coming to, her and Gail are holding on to each other, and Judy pops the fuck up out like the ground like a daisy.
Right.
Because she got the bulletproof vest on.
Right. Right.
And we get to the end of the movie, and we're outside, and all the news reports talking about survivor Jill Roberts and how strong she is. So she got her infamy.
She did.
Just didn't live to see it.
Damn.
But I feel like if they would have stuck with the original idea,
yeah,
the ending would have made more sense. And it sucks because, Wes died. This is the last movie we got from Wes before he died in 2015.
Yeah.
So as the rumor has it, because this was also Kevin Williamson came back to write this one. And I feel like that's why it's such a strong connection to the first two, because you had the OG writer and the OG director.
The magic was there. The magic that they bottled up in 1996 was there. Like, I feel like they knew how to really play off of each other. Like, they worked very well together.
Absolutely. But rumor has it that it was supposed to have been a new trilogy. It was going to be 4, 5, 6. We don't know what 6 was supposed to be, but 5, rumor has it, was supposed to be that Jill did get away.
Yeah.
Sydney was supposed to die.
Okay.
Supposedly. And what happened was Jill was then going to go off to college, like Sydney's part 2.
Okay.
But the thing was that someone was going to actually be stalking Jill. Okay. And they knew she was Ghostface, and they knew she was behind the original murders. So now she has to figure out who's trying to kill her.
I wish they would have did that.
But Wes left us, and they didn't want to move forward for a long time.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. I wish more people would do that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But yes, when you go from 3 to 4, 4 is nowhere near as bad as 3, 4 actually makes sense. If you could actually remove 3 from continuity and have 1, 2, 4, and it would flow together just fine.
You could remove 3 completely, and it's not
Yeah.
like it doesn't even affect the storyline. You are so right about that. Whew.
Yeah. It flows much better if you take 3 out.
Yep. Because 3 really was just 3 was so not necessary and just
No.
there. Like it was just a placeholder. Like, okay, we got to do
It's
this
a
third one.
contractual obligation.
Right. Like we got to do this third one. Let's just figure something out and just write some shit.
But no, I love 4. 4 really did breathe life back into the franchise. 4 really did round out Sydney, Gale, and Dewey, and like, the where are they now aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love seeing Gale and Dewey being married for a decade
Yeah.
and them struggling
Yeah.
in their relationship like married people do. I mean, you're married.
Yep.
I'm almost married. You
Yep.
get to that point where it's like,
What am I doing?
I
What are we doing?
cannot stand you right now.
Do you think that Gail do you think that because I felt like Gail felt like she was a little resentful because she gave up her career for
I feel like Gail felt like she was being replaced with Judy as the partner in crime.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like she was being outpaced by Sydney because Sydney was now a best-selling author.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This was the first one
And
I did kind of feel bad for Gail.
yeah, I feel like when your lane is being taken over in every aspect of your life,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna feel a kind of way. Like, I don't even have the comfort of my husband now because you're filling that void for him.
Right.
And my career, I no longer have that because someone else who's connected to the universe I've created
Yep.
is
It's doing
now
better.
getting all the accolades.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like Gail's arc was being replaced, but understanding that nobody could be Gail Weathers, because we had Deputy Judy and then we had Rebecca the publicist
Right.
with that Gail Weathers attitude and how they handle stuff, but no one can be Gail. And I love that for
Yep.
her.
Yep.
I love seeing a defeated Gail. I love seeing a
Yes.
Gail that was unsure of herself,
And she was vulnerable too. She
very
was very
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
I wish we would have gotten more Gale in this movie, but I understand in order to introduce all the new characters, Gale and Dewey were gonna have to take a back seat in some respect.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But I loved her arc in this movie. I think this is her most vulnerable, most most understood
Yeah.
version of Gale. Like, I understood everything that she was going through in this movie.
And she was and it was realistic too for where her character development was going to
Mm-hmm.
be. Like I really felt like at the end of 3, she was willing to put her career kind of on hold for love. And it's like, okay, girl, like I get that. He proposed, they got married,
Mm.
they've been married, and now here we are, all these years later, and she's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
trying to figure
you've been married. She's been married to this man for a decade. She's his right hand. They
out.
both wouldn't even have survived all this without each other. And now you don't need me because you
Right.
have a deputy that's up your, like, yeah, I understood where she was coming from, where she's like, nah, I wrote the book on this. And it's kind of like, nah, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna make my presence known whether y'all like it or not. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work out for her
Yeah.
in the barn when she was like she's like, okay, you don't want my help? I'm gonna go to these kids and I'm gonna get their help.
Right. It's like, girl, don't do it.
And she was, to an extent, until she got caught at
Yeah.
the stabathon. My question has always been, how did they know she was there? It was so many people there.
Right. I think they were banking on her. I don't know. Maybe they were banking on her being there, or if they
Maybe
were
they
like,
just studied her real well.
I think so. Maybe that. And I think they might have been like, okay, so she here. They improvised very well too. So it's like, well,
I love that we got the opposite of everything we got in one, right? So we got Gail crashing the party, but
yep,
nothing happens. Where Gail crashes the party this time, almost loses her life. We have Kirby answering the questions right, but she gets stabbed by the person tied up in the chair. Like,
yep.
I love how they reversed everything we had come to expect because of the first movie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And
I
that
loved
only
it.
come from being, having the right pieces of the puzzle that were involved in number one there. They know, and I'm sure, from 1996 to 2011, I'm sure Wes Craven and Kevin, I'm sure that they were like, hey, let's switch it up on these niggas real quick.
Yeah,
Like,
they think they know what's gonna happen, and we're gonna show them what we really about in the 2010s.
yep, yep, awesome.
I think they really did take all that criticism from Scream 3, and they were like, all right, well,
Absolutely.
fuck y'all. We know what we doing.
Absolutely. On a scale of one
Like,
to 10, what do you rate this movie?
I will give Scream 4 a solid 6.5.
Okay. Okay.
It's not quite a 7, only because on a personal level,
Hmm.
I hate the motive in this one. I understand it, but it's not my favorite motive.
I hate it. And that was my biggest, like, what the fuck? Like, motive? Like, that's your motive, girl? Like, I really was, like, I was pissed off for a while about that motive.
But
But
then it's like,
I get it.
like
I get it.
you killed your own mama for this, but then I just be like, Illuminati. So then
Yep. Yep. That's where I was like,
she
they lost me with
she
that.
out
They
here
lost me.
sacrificing, because I feel like that's what people always want to say, right? Like when you want to blame atrocity out there, you gotta say Illuminati. So it's like, she's sacrificing people for fame.
Yep. Yes.
But no, I'm not the biggest fan of the single white female motive, because that's the vibes I was getting with the motive is single white female.
Yes, yes. Like, she definitely wanted to be Sydney in
Yeah.
every aspect, which, you see Sydney's life and how it affected her overall. And it's like, do you really want that, girl? Like, do you really want that life? But, the younger generation, maybe, she
I
might,
mean,
I don't
the
know.
unfortunate truth of it all is from 2011 to 2023, people do worse on the internet to
Man,
get notoriety. Because I'm telling you right now, the fact that I'm sitting here not dripped up and draped down in Swarovskis and Chanel and the period girl is
man,
out here with bands pisses me off.
yeah. That's crazy. That's still wild. That's still wild to me that oh, here we are. Here we are, so it's like it don't seem that far-fetched now looking at it in retrospect. So,
No, nowadays it doesn't, but back then I was just like, oh my God, who would do this? But
yeah.
yeah, the motive though likely and probable just wasn't my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. It
You know,
wasn't.
it's not, you hurt my family, so now I hurt you. It doesn't, it
Exactly.
doesn't compare for me.
That's what it was missing, that element of like, I'm gonna avenge someone, or I'm looking for revenge because you did this to me. Like, we can point to it, like, that is where she went wrong, but there really wasn't. And first of all, it was a whole new, like, this was a whole new character that we hadn't even, like, we
Yeah.
hadn't even been introduced to Maureen's sister. We didn't even know she had a sister. So
Right?
it was very, I feel like the writing, they linked on that very, very well, to where they're like, because we're not going to question whether Maureen had a sister or not. It's like, oh, okay, here's this new sister that we just
Because
found
you
out.
find out something about Marine in every fucking movie anyway, so it's not out of the realm of reality.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, so we got this new family that she got, that we the viewers are introduced to. And then it's like, this damn cousin wants Sydney's life. It was like, I hate it. I hated that reasoning.
I personally would have enjoyed if they would have played more into like, you were my favorite cousin and you abandoned me, or
Hmm.
you were my cousin and I was supposed to be like anything that actually tied them familiar. Because the reason why the motive doesn't hold weight for me is because Sydney and Jill didn't seem very close
At all. At all.
for
At
her to be
all.
so.
That's
Now
why I'm
I get growing up in Woodsboro and hearing all about your cousin as if you don't have your own identity.
Yeah.
but it would have made more sense if they were closer and like Sydney like left and didn't come back for her, or if they were closer and she's like, well, you know what, since everybody always wants to compare me to you, I'm just gonna be you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But they did, I will say they did their thing. They did their
Oh
thing
yeah.
with the writing, with the pacing of the movie, just how they kept us on the ropes, you know, because they really had me questioning it, whether Sydney was like, I was looking at everybody like, is it Sydney? Well, damn, is it Judy? I was like, okay, well, who is it? Like, I was looking at everybody.
I I thought from the bottom of my heart, I thought it was Robbie and Judy.
Okay.
I really did. I thought it was Robbie and Judy. I thought maybe, and this is the funny thing, especially with Scream 5,
Hmm.
because even back then in Scream 4, I was like, well, what if she was like one of Billy's girlfriends that Sydney didn't know about? I had already like
Yep.
had that in the back of my mind because it's high school.
Yep.
So I thought it was Judy.
Yep.
Even going into Scream 5, I thought it was Judy.
Hmm.
I just so badly wanted Judy to be the bad guy because she's a bitch.
Yeah, yeah. She was the one we love to hate. In number four, like we didn't even like. Usually we hate Gail, but this one it just was not bad. I was just like, I kind of like Gail in this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Especially like watching it now as like an
yes,
adult, because like
yes,
2011, I was like what, 20 something years old,
right, right.
right?
Still pretty
Now
young,
having like a family and kids and a man, and like I wish I would go up to that job and some bitch tell me I can't talk to my man.
right, right.
I wish some heifer would be making my man cookies.
And then they taste like ass, and
Yeah, and they don't taste
they're
good.
not even
But
good, girl. What?
you gonna tell me I can't go talk to my husband? Like,
Mm-mm.
yeah, like nah, Judy can catch these stomps and these elbows. Like, I have no love for Officer Judy Hicks.
Yeah.
Deputy my ass. Okay, she would have got. I just been arrested that day.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, her husband is the sheriff, so she ain't gonna sit in jail for long. I would have
Not
took
too
that.
long.
I would have took it like, okay, bitch, I'm just gonna give you more paperwork to do. Like, what?
I really would have enjoyed, because every scream we get like the punch to the face, and like we didn't really
Yes,
get that too much. So I really
yes.
would have loved if
Oh,
Gail would have gave one of them Sydney punches to Judy.
yep. Oh, I was really that would have been so right. Like that would have really sat well in my heart. It would have sat so well in
And
my
like I said, I hate the Rebecca kill because it seems like just one of those like we just need to up the body count kills.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I love when they tossed her ass off of that roof. There's something about somebody falling off of a roof like in a
yeah.
movie. It does it for me every time. I don't know why. There's something wrong with me, but there's just something about people getting tossed off of buildings. Maybe it's like the whole like because I love mafia movies. Something
Yeah,
about people getting dangled off the side of roofs,
yeah.
tossed off of roofs, tossed into like rivers. It makes my heart sing.
It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great cinematically. You know,
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
like
great.
a good old like just Suge Knight moment. Just toss that motherfucker off the roof and go about your day.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love it. Yeah. So
So hold on, what are you ranking it?
you know what? Initially, when I first saw it, I had it at like a smooth five. I'm not even gonna lie. I had it at like a smooth five because I did not like I had a fun time, but I hated that damn reasoning. Like I really hated that reasoning. It really bugged me. But now, it's been another what 11, 12 years now. So
Yeah.
looking at it and then comparing it to number three, and then thinking about since we've been revisiting the whole franchise, I would actually rate it a seven. I'm gonna do like a seven. Yeah, I
Giving
enjoyed
it
it. It
giving
was
it 7 ghost face mask.
yeah, like I was like, you know what? If it fits in the puzzle of Scream, so I
Yeah.
I did like it.
Yeah,
It was
when you're watching them all in sequential order,
yes. You
like
get a
3
different
comes to a
you really get
screeching Yeah,
Yeah,
3 comes to a screeching halt and 4 gets you back on the road. And that's
it
how I
does.
always look at 4. 4 got us back on the road to even wanting to see more Scream because 3 just killed it for everybody.
Yep. Yep. And it makes sense because they didn't have another movie for 11 damn years. So it was like, even, the people behind the scenes was like, yeah, let's just leave that shit alone. But it actually was not a bad time. It was a fun time. I loved the character development. I loved the kills, but I'm telling you, that one where the girl was in the other house and they was looking at her, whoo,
Yeah.
that's
No, I just
whoo.
this movie just holds a special place in my heart because I was going through a breakup at that time, and this was like the first movie I went to
Hmm.
by myself during that breakup, and I just had it was the first time I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, okay.
So I always loved Scream 4 because it was the first time I had smiled, laughed, and felt good
Yep,
in a long time.
yep, cool.
And
Yep,
I love it. It's just
yep.
it's and especially coming off the back of like my other favorite franchise the year prior just getting obliterated because the Nightmare on Elm Street remake came out in 2010. So
Yep.
I was just like, "Come on, Wes, you got to do it for me because they just
Right.
did you dirty with this
Yeah.
remake."
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Oh, they did. But they got me back on board. They got me back on board where I was like, all right, so Scream 5, I'm ready to see it. Like, because I was not
Yeah.
on board. Like before I was not on board with seeing it. But 5, I was like, all right, well, I'm back on the train. So let's see what they are
And
gonna
that's how
do.
I felt when they said Scream 5 was coming out. I was like, okay, cool, because I actually enjoyed Scream 4. And
Mhm.
I remember everybody saying, like, after Wes died, like, we're not touching Scream unless it's something good that's going to move us that we feel like he'd be proud of.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, if they're making it, because Ned was like, I'm not coming back unless they give me something that I know Wes would have liked.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So when I heard that they was all back on board, I was like, cool, I'm in the saddle for Scream 5.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So any like last thoughts of like where we're going to leave off with 4 and going into 5? Do you feel like 5 is a direct like connection to 4, or are we kind of spinning off into like, okay, we're creating new characters, but the plot thickens a little bit more?
See, 5 is where we really hit reset
Yeah.
to me. Like we get really into the whole territory with all these new characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate 5, but I have thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Definitely.
things that I'm not understanding, and I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
This would be like my fourth time watching it, so I really need like I hated it the first time I watched it. The second and third time I watched it, I'm like, okay, I can get behind some of the theming. I can get behind certain decisions. I feel like it's one of those movies that I'm gonna fall in love with over time, depending on how bad or how good the next one is.
Okay. See, I only saw Scream 5 one time when it first was released. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. So I haven't revisited again since then. So I'm gonna revisit it now, and I'm like,
It's
okay,
on Paramount Plus. It's still streaming. I checked today. Now
yeah,
here's the kicker.
mhm.
Scream 1, 2, and 3 and 5 are streaming on Paramount Plus.
They some bitches for that.
4 is streaming on Netflix. And now 1, 2, and 3 are on YouTube for free now.
Yeah, they some bitches for that.
Now that we don't need to look for it,
That's
now it's free.
they some
Courtney
bitches
was
for that.
watching
They
Courtney was
what we
watching
were
Scream
looking.
3 at like 2 in the morning the other
We
day.
were literally looking furiously last week,
Last
and
week, and it wasn't free.
nobody had it. Like they some bitches for that. They is really some bitches for that. Cause I'm like, for real.
I know he was like, yeah, I just watched Scream 3 last night. And I was like, oh, you paid for
No,
it? He's like, no, it's on YouTube. I'm
bitch, that's crazy.
like, ain't this some shit? And like I said, I checked Paramount Plus, wasn't on there. Now it's on there. So that's so I know what they're doing is they're like, okay, the movie's coming out in a month.
Mhm.
Let's flood the block with this free shit so people want to come see it.
Let's get the streams up. Yep, let's get the streams up. Let's get people excited about it. Let's get people talking about it. And I would like to say, we us doing this podcast is helping get the word out too, because niggas was not talking about it either until we started talking
No,
about it. So
no,
I'm just gonna throw
I'm
that out there.
excited. I'm so excited for it. And I'm the kind of person where I can do spoiler content and it doesn't ruin the movie for me.
Me too. Me too.
So the more that I'm learning about little clues and hints and close-ups of pictures and characters and trailer analysis, I'm getting excited. I feel
Yeah.
like we're going to see some shit that we haven't seen. I'm really excited because everybody knows that when you take a character and put them in New York, that's where the franchise goes to die. So
Yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah.
if this is going to work out in our favor because Ghostface on Halloween in New York sounds like a fucking treat if it's done correctly.
Oh yeah. Did you see that one? It was like a fan made poster where they were kind of like poking fun at Jason when he went to Manhattan.
Yes.
I was like, oh, they hear us. They hear us talking shit. Like they hear us low key talking shit. So I'm very, I tried to keep my expectations really low with the new movie, but the more I keep thinking about it, my expectations is gonna be pretty high. I saw I watched the trailer and I was like, all right, so I want them to bring it. I'm a little scared. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to jinx nothing. But I think Gail might be like on her way out on this last one. I really am not sure. Like I don't know if Gail is gonna make it.
I know that one of the twins is going.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
taking out one of the twins. And I feel like Gail should it in a from a writer's perspective,
Hmm.
Gail should bite the big one because Dewey's no longer here.
Hmm.
They're like a package deal for me. So
Yeah.
I feel like she should be taken out.
Yeah.
But like I stated before,
She's
she
the
wrote the book
story.
on it.
Yep. Yep.
Because the fact that we've got Scream 6 and it's continuing and it's just Gail coming back says a lot about how integral that character is to the story. So
Yeah.
I can't. My thing is, if you're going to take her out, do it in a good way. I want a better death for her.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like if you take her out in 7. I want to see her to the last movie.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
I
What
think
do
what
you?
they need to do
Yeah.
is I feel like what I really want is because I know everybody's been comparing the scenes of Gail with the rest of the group in a different outfit and Gail with the Ghostface invasion part of the trailer and it's different
Yeah.
outfits.
Yeah.
What I really want in my brain, I want it to be that's the end of our movie. I want Gail to get kidnapped.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like the best move for Ghostface isn't to kill Gail, it's to hold her hostage because that's the only way you're going to lure Sydney
Sydney.
Prescott if we ever get her back,
Yeah.
or the Carpenter sisters back out.
Yeah. 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 I'm excited. I'm surprised that we're getting another movie so quick
Oh,
after.
I'm not. It's deja vu. They did the same thing with Scream 2.
Yeah. Yeah. They did. They kind of. Yeah. They
Yeah.
did. They did. So yeah.
All Scream 1, 2, and 3 came out in like sequential years. It's all deja vu. I just really want it to be done right, like I said, because I have thoughts about Scream 5 and how they handled the legacy characters. And I
Yeah.
feel like if we're bringing back Gail and we're bringing back Kirby Reed, I want it done correctly because we've been
Yeah.
waiting a long time to see Kirby. We've been waiting 11 plus years to see Kirby come back because we all knew deep down she wasn't dead. So
Yeah. Only time will tell. Only time will
you
tell.
got you got Gail in New York and you got Kirby as an FBI agent. You
Man.
better come correct. But I personally I want to see one of the Meeks twins go. And I would love to see one of the Carpenter sisters go. If Sam Carpenter is our final girl,
Yeah.
I need more from her.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get that if one of them survives. One of them gotta go.
One of them do gotta go. One of them definitely has to go. So yeah. Woo.
And I only say that based off of our original trilogy, right? You
Yeah.
had Sydney and Randy. This one you have 4 survivors.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got if Sydney and Randy are your dynamic duo, right, and then we got the Meeks twins and the Carpenter sisters,
Mm-hmm.
somebody got to go from each one
Yeah, that's only fair. That's only fair.
to form that alliance, because
Yeah.
you can't have both Meeks twins survives, because that's just pandering, not trying to be funny, but pandering to black people and horror nerds. And you
Yep.
can't have both of the Carpenter sisters survive, because that's not developing any character arc.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's only fair because
Only
each of
fair.
them, each losing. I would prefer losing one of each of them, honestly. You know, because I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying.
like,
I would like to see one of the Carpenter sisters go, and
yeah,
I would like to see one of the twins go. Quite frankly, and I know this is like the most taboo shit ever, but I personally like want Mindy to go. Like I didn't like. I mean, I wasn't a fan, so I really want her to go.
she can go
I
either way. I mean, it can
yeah,
go either way with her. It's like, if she go, I want the kill to be very like memorable and
yeah,
scary.
I want Chad to stick around. I feel like Chad has more to offer if they give him more to do in this movie,
Yeah, because they
because that's the
underutilized him.
thing.
They underutilized
Very
him
much
last
so.
movie.
So
Yeah,
yeah, going back to going into 5, they rebooted in the best way possible.
yeah,
I don't know how else they would have rebooted the franchise the way they did it. I just think there's some things we'll discuss next week that were poor choices, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Agreed. All right, y'all. Well, we are going to end the podcast here. I want to thank all of y'all for listening. We got like 20
Yes, thank you.
plays.
I know I've been sharing like crazy, and I want to shout out Black Horror Nerd page that I'm on, Black Horror Nerds United, or
Yeah,
Unite, I want to say. Yes, thank you guys. I shared it. You guys have been so receptive. I appreciate you if you're listening.
appreciate
And
it
we're gonna
so
keep
much.
going. We're
Yes.
gonna keep going. We're loving this. I'm getting into it.
Yes. Yep. I'm working on a YouTube page where we can upload, the stream that we're doing. We can upload it on there. So be looking out for that pretty soon. But definitely give us
Yes,
a
and
listen on
I'm
Spotify.
working on a better camera setup, guys. So
Hey, give us
we're working on that. Work in progress. Just stick with us. But this has been so much fun,
yes, yes. So
as
thank you so
always.
much for listening. Y'all take care of
Thank you.
yourselves. And we will see y'all episode 5. Breaking down
And don't
Scream
forget,
5.
let us know what's your favorite scary movie.
Yes, definitely.
Always.
We will definitely, because after we see Scream 6, we're looking for another franchise to move on to. So, yeah, leave us plenty of comments. We
Yes,
love to
we're
hear.
definitely taking suggestions for more franchises, because we only have one Scream movie left
Yep,
before the big baddie of Scream 6. So
yep,
drop your suggestions in the comments. We will
yep.
definitely talk about them. Franchises moving forward. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
Hell yes.
Maybe it's some shit that I actually haven't seen.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, ooh, I love reading suggestions. So drop them on the low. Okay. All right. Cool.
Bye.